Welcome to the Solution Podcast, everyone. I hope everyone is all right. I'm here with my bro Hassan, and today we're going to be talking about Christ is King and
Ah,
the agenda behind it. Hassan, how are you doing, my bro?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I've been better. As long as I'm alive, I guess that's all that matters. Yes, Christ is King. I'm sure you've heard of the controversy. What's your views on it before we do a reaction to I think a good video.
The,
But
the term originally, I have no problem with it because that's something I've heard Christians say often, and I guess it's consistent with the Christian message.
mm,
And I wouldn't pay attention to it. Christians saying Christ is King is like a Muslim saying Allah is King or something, praising Allah or something like this.
yeah. I see what you're
And
saying.
it's simple, it makes sense within a Christian saying, right? It makes it all day, and it wouldn't make me think twice. But then I saw Andrew Tate say,
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
him
I found that a bit weird. Yeah.
that made me very uncomfortable,
Why is
extremely
that?
uncomfortable.
Why is that?
Uh, I, I'll give you that answer after I think you play the video because the video will give better context. Then we can
Better
feed off
content.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. My view when I first saw this, Christ is King. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely agree with that 100%. Um, he's more than that to us. He's God. When I first heard that, I thought, yeah, what's wrong with that? And then I did the research. I did the, I looked at how this came about. Because everyone was kind of like talking about how, this term Christ is King has gone viral. I was just like, if it has gone viral, instinctively I thought it couldn't have been because it couldn't have been because of a good thing. We
Mm,
live in the world that we currently live in. This
mm,
term has gone viral.
mm,
It's like in this currently in the world that we live in, this
mm,
term has gone viral. No, something is up. Something's
mm.
going on. There's something off here. And then I saw Sneeko. The first time I heard about this is when I saw Sneeko kind of um
Tweet it.
mentioning it on Twitter. But yeah, let's get to the video. Just give me a second while I load up, bro. Yeah.
No worries. I put myself inside.
So sorry for the silence, guys. Just loading it up right now. Bear with me. It's
If if,
Hassan's fault as usual.
if they want some background music, I can put that on there.
Uh,
Just
don't
calm
do
mood.
that.
No.
Hassan, I don't trust you to do anything, bro.
Oh, and the worst thing is I'm the tech guy behind all this.
Yeah, but anyways, just to
I'm
finish
tech
off.
support.
Sorry, I just left mid sentence. I should have just finished my train of thought. But yeah, when I first heard it, I just thought, okay, Sneeko was the first one to. I first heard it from Sneeko. Apparently, he was on Twitter claiming Christ is King, and I thought this is odd. And then then Andrew Tate, I was like, okay, there's something really going on. And then I did more research, and it goes. I, I didn't think it was going to take me there,
The
but
rabbit hole.
yeah, the rabbit hole. It just took me somewhere else. I was
Mm,
thinking, whoa, so this is where it started. So
mm.
this is, and then okay, I was just like, all right, okay, but yeah, bro,
You
I'm
you know you know when the from a Christian perspective, and even
mhm.
in a Muslim perspective, if they said something else, you know if the masses agree with you, you're saying something's going wrong. That's the situation.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was just like, there's something going on here. There's way too many anti-Christian things going on in this society for all of
Mm, mm,
this be going viral. Something
mm.
is up, something is off. There's something going on, and that's exactly what I came to find out.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I came to find out. And
what
I'm
a
guys
rabbit hole.
making a reaction to this tomorrow as well. But this is we're going to be giving you some really valuable information. We are reacting to what do you meme? That's
What do you meme?
what do you meme?
Meme, yeah, meme.
Yeah, MEME. He's a Christian. That's his channel. What do you mean? And he talks about social issues and so on and so on and so forth. He talks about everything. He reacts to pretty much everything, but in a Christian view. So he gives you the Christian view of all of these issues that we encounter in society. I follow him as well. It's a great channel, great guy, and I love his reactions. He really breaks it down. So without further ado, let's get to it, man.
Some Muslims have been fuming over a couple of tweets made by Andrew Tate and Sneeko. Some Muslims have been fuming over a couple of tweets made by Andrew Tate and Sneeko, both tweets saying that Christ is king. But the reason for why they made these tweets probably isn't what you think. Let's talk about it. So yesterday on X, Sneeko made a tweet saying Christ is king. And only a few hours later, Andrew Tate tweeted saying, as a Muslim, it warms my heart to see the resurgence of spirited Christian declarations. Christ is king. And I pray Christianity regains its strength and protects its societies against the pervasive and constant erosion of morality by the devotees of Satan. If you
What? Christianity regains its strength from a Muslim. I find that funny, man. Do you find that funny?
Fair use, fair use.
Fair use. Sorry, fair use. Thanks for that, bro. Thanks for remembering.
No worries. You find it funny? I find it disturbing, extremely disturbing.
No, I'm sorry. I want my faith, Christianity, to rule the entire world. So no, for him to say no, I'm talking about this specific thing here where he says, "And I pray Christianity regains its strength."
If I was a Christian, I would be very excited, but I'm not a Christian, so I'm very nervous.
Yeah. So exactly. As a Muslim, I'm thinking, what, bro? You want Islam to be the, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Not the other way around. So I'm like, Andrew, you converted to Islam. Why are these words coming out of your mouth? It makes no sense to me. But anyways, let's go.
Accept everything, you stand for nothing. Now, this should be absolutely shocking to anyone that knows anything about their past. Both Andrew Tate and Sneeko recently converted to Islam and have both made countless insulting remarks towards Christians and Christianity.
I think Christianity is a joke. I think it's a joke of a religion.
I didn't really resonate with Christianity a lot growing up because it's like, it doesn't make sense to me to pray to a man. I don't want to submit to a man.
Now, even though a lot of Christian commenters were, of course, happy to see Andrew Tate and Sneeko tweeting that Christ is king, it still seems strange to me that both of them, on the same day, would be posting such bold claims about Christ when they believe Christ to only be a prophet and find Christianity blasphemous because it teaches that Jesus was not just a prophet, but God in human flesh. And given
fair use.
Yes, it seemed obvious that their tweets would enrage a lot of their Muslim audiences on X who praise Tate and Sneeko every time they attack or say something negative about Christianity. So I decided to go to the comment section for confirmation on this, but I was still shocked at what I saw. On the one hand, of course, there were some negative comments from Muslims. Under Andrew Tate's tweet, this Muslim commenter wrote, Christ is not king. Jesus, peace be upon him, is a prophet, messenger, and servant of the one true king, God whom we refer to as Allah. And in response to the part of Tate's tweet where he says that he prays that Christianity regains its strength, this guy says, I pray that Christianity continues to weaken and that Islam continues to grow. And that
that's what I was saying earlier. At least he's honest.
Shirk and Kufar replaced with Tawheed, inshallah. Another Muslim wrote, it's Ramadan. Have some shame. Another, no, Andrew Tate, Jesus is a messenger. Will return as a Muslim, will preach Islam, not Christianity, and pray that everyone should get some knowledge so that they may be able to see the truth. And on Sneeko's post, Muslim commenters wrote things like, one of Allah's 99 names is the King. Don't associate Allah's name with his prophet Isa, peace be upon him. It is prohibited to do this. I sincerely advise you to delete this, my brother. Brother, delete this. This is not right. He is the prophet of Allah. How is he king when he is a prophet? But even though there were some negative comments from Muslims in the comment section, the amount of negative comments from Muslims were low. Actually, suspiciously low. Even Lauren Shin commented about this by saying, interesting that I've yet to see a Muslim person take offense to the whole Christ is king controversy. Some are even proclaiming it themselves, as she shared Andrew Tate's tweet. But still, after talking about Islam and dealing with so many Muslims throughout the years, I still found all of this to be far too suspicious. Things just weren't adding up, and I knew that there was some context that I had to be missing. So I called my friend David Wood to see if he could provide some clarity about what was going on here. And before I play that call for you, we have to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of today's video.
You know David Wood, did it?
I know him reasonably well, yeah.
Okay. All right,
I'm not a fan.
fair use. You're not a fan.
Not at all.
I wonder why.
Aura.
He
In
insults
2022, there were nearly
Is what?
He insults Prophet Muhammad.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
500,000 cases of identity theft reported, and last year, over 1 million. All of them learned the hard way that anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name.
Sorry.
Also automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail malware. So in other words, Aura has almost every internet safety tool that. Oh, D-Dub, what up, bro?
I met with my old headmistress a few years ago, and she said, "You were always good at chemistry, and you're always playing football, and you didn't do it."
Right, no,
Bro.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick. I was on Twitter and I saw Sneeko and Andrew Tate both posting Christ is King at the same time. And there was a lot of weird things that seemed to be going on. So I was kind of wondering if you knew why they were posting that, because it looked a little suspicious to me.
Brilliant strategy, but evil. This is parallel I can think of to how this is being used is Black Lives Matter. So the founders of Black Lives Matter were admitted Marxists. They were a group of trained Marxists who were trained to sell Marxism. Marxism wouldn't work well for a Western audience, but if you use a slogan, Black Lives Matter, which no one can object to, as a shield, you can block criticisms of your actual agenda. You have white supremacists doing the exact same thing right now. They're using Christ is King as a shield, so that when you object to what they're saying, they say, "Oh, you're objecting to me because I'm saying Christ is King." The person I saw who was really kicking this off was Nick Fuentes. He has a group called the Groypers, and so they're these, so they're constantly blasting Jews and trying to encourage hostility against Jews. They want a white Christian nation. That's what they want. So what these guys started doing is running around like harassing Jews. "Ah, you filthy Jew, you filthy Zionist pig! Christ is King! Christ is King! Christ is King!" And they just kept bombarding with that. And then when someone would respond, I go, "Oh, look, see, they hate Christ. All we're doing is saying Christ is King. What's wrong with that? See how angry they get when we say Christ is King." Lots of people falling for this because they see people warning them, saying, "Hey guys, be careful this Christ is King stuff. You don't realize what this is being used for right now."
Fair use.
And people are like, "What? You're not going to get me to not say Christ is King."
Sorry, bro. What was that?
Use fairly. That's what I said.
Use fairly.
No, Christ is King. And meanwhile, you've got neo-Nazis giggling themselves silly that people are actually falling for this. So
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so what seems to be going on is that Nick Fuentes and them have been chanting Christ is King as an attack basically kind of against Jews, right? And so because the hostility between Israel and Palestine and a lot of Muslims, and especially Sneeko and Andrew Tate, they've been talking about how they're anti-Zionism and anti-Israel, that sort of thing. So, and they have hostility towards the Jews. So they're using the slogan as a way to taunt the Jews. Is that right?
Yeah, so why would Andrew Tate and Sneeko, Muslims, all of a sudden be running around just on the same day, Christ is King, Christ is King? You have to be aware of how it's being used and what the actual purpose is. Just like we should all agree, 100%, Black Lives Matter. That doesn't mean you have to fall for how the slogan is being used to mask an underlying agenda.
Well, that certainly seemed to make a lot more sense. And in congruence with David's point, this lady posted on X that Christ is King is being used as a dog whistle directed at Jews. She also included a clip and said that Nick Fuentes is chanting Christ is King with his followers after giving a speech about killing and going to war with the Jews. Now, I wasn't able to find the original video that she clipped from, so I wasn't able to verify her claims, but if she is right, this explains why so many anti-Jewish Muslims would be in support of the phrase Christ is King, something that obviously they've never chanted before. And if David is right, then Tate's tweets seem to be far more clever than Sneeko's, because even though Tate is still trolling, he worded it in a clever way to avoid blowback and have plausible deniability. I mean, let's look at it again. He wrote, "As a Muslim, it warms my heart to see the resurgence of spirited Christian declarations, Christ is King." Now, of course, he seems to be saying this as a way to taunt the Jewish people that he's against. And then he moves into sneak dissing Christians for the same thing that he's mocked them for all along, being weak and not standing for anything.
Christianity is a joke. If you're going to be tolerant of everything and stand for nothing, then I don't think you have it.
If you accept everything, you stand for nothing. But here's something that I think that all of us can take away from this. Of course, the phrase Christ is King is not inherently anti-Semitic. Christians have been saying this since the time of Christ. However, if someone is using the phrase with racial intent or for their political gain, then it's sinful. From scripture, we not only know that Christ is King, but also that there's no difference between the Jew and the non-Jew, for we are all one in Christ Jesus. And because the phrase Christ is King is so important and sacred to us, we would never want to use the phrase as a weapon to hurt others or for some other worldly agenda. Instead, we only want it to be used as a matter of fact, while not allowing others to hijack the phrase for evil. And if you want to see what Andrew Tate and Sneeko really think about Christianity, go ahead and check out one of these videos and they'll see you over there. But the next time you hear someone saying Christ is King and trying to hijack that for evil, what are you going to say?
What do you mean? Yeah, there you go. Thoughts?
Okay, so David Wood, from what I can remember the video, pretty much nailed it on the head. It's, from what I've seen on Twitter, the anti-Semitism, the anti-Jewish hate pretty much has gone through the roof. Of course, anti-Islam hate has gone up through the roof as well. But it's strange how a lot of people who are pro-Palestine and anti-Israel are just anti-Jewish. Now, this isn't necessarily Muslim people. This isn't necessarily Christian people. But it's certainly a lot of people that have been irreligious for quite some time and had no necessarily positive images of Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. It's really it's a frenzy to feast on Jewish flesh, and by that I mean speaking evil about Jewish people. It's brought about and brought to light anti-Semitism in Europe and America by people who are, for some reason, red pill as well. For some reason, the red pill was very anti-Jewish. Very popular in the West. And these terms, Christ is King, for example, and the Jews are this and the Jews are that, whatever it may be, have become very popular. Zionist, the word Zionist has become very popular. Zionist, so you have a guy called Lucas Cage on Twitter, who's essentially a Nazi. You look at his Twitter account, he's a Nazi. But he's very popular in the anti-Israel movement, whether it be people who are Palestinian, Muslims, non-Muslims, Christians, whoever it may be. Now, some people I'm not saying this about Sneeko, because I have a bit of sympathy for him. I guess because he's younger than me, and seems like a reasonable guy. Some people like Andrew Tate, I'll say it, and a few other people they're really at the tipping edge of social media and what young men and disenfranchised, lonely, or social media obsessed men, the type of men that drift towards the red pill, the type of men that yearn for a simpler time. They yearn for women to be easier, not for them to be stronger. Caricatures, people who misrepresent Christianity, because Christianity, as far as I understand, and as far as I would like to understand, doesn't go into great detail about its enemies and those who dislike it and those who are its enemies, besides the devil, obviously. Yep. It's really about the Christian message. The Christian, by definition, is a person who tries to bring good to the world, right?
Tries to bring Christ to the world. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I was thinking of Jesus as an example in my head, so I didn't say Christ. I meant what I meant to say is lived like Jesus. A Christian is a person who lives like Jesus.
That's exactly it. Yeah, because we consider and what is good is everything that Jesus said and did. That's what him as an example. Yeah. Good. That's the standard for good, and that's the standard for thingy. And to go against that even one little bit, that's what we call sinful. That's what we call wrong.
Because it would be against good by your definition. And I think what I think of him, I think this wasn't a guy who was just spitting out platitudes. And what would you know? How would you know how he lived? You would know through the Bible, and you would know what he did, and you would act out what he did. You wouldn't just go around saying Jews this and Jews that, and they, them, and this, because I'm sure he had as much negative things to say about politics. I'm sure he had as much negative things to say about those who proclaim Christianity, but probably more so than others who proclaim Christianity but do otherwise, or proclaim to follow him but do otherwise, right? I know I don't know Christianity in detail, certainly not as much as you, but I'm not stupid. I don't think a religion from the Abrahamic traditions would spend most of its time spewing hate against other people for what they are, not for what they do. And this, so going back to the Christ skin being trended or posted by people who are Muslims, it's a popularity contest, in my opinion. Because why would a Muslim say such an absurd statement without giving context? You would say Christ is king, but he was rejected, and then another prophet came, peace be upon them both, to bring about the truth, so on and so on and so forth. Complete the circle, because if you represent half a circle or half a truth, it's as good as a lie from the Islamic perspective. Now, why would Muslims say this? If you look at Andrew Tate's specific tweet, if you don't mind pulling up, we just type in Christ is King to search for search.
So search for what? Christ is King?
Yeah, Christ is King, Andrew Tate, and then click on the first tweet that you see. If you don't mind, just so we have it for context.
Andrew Tate, Christ is King, yeah?
Yeah. So the first tweet, so we can just dissect it word for word.
Andrew Tate,
if you don't mind.
King. No, that's absolutely fine. Christ is King. Okay, I'm on Google. I've just typed it. All right.
You see it first link? Will it be the first link?
Hold on a second. It has taken me to X.
Oh, it's X, yeah, whatever it is.
But I've been banned by Andrew Tate.
Oh, you've been blocked by Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, bro. Look, I'll show it to you. Look.
Why did he block you? Because you're Christian?
Well, I must have said something that upset him.
You can go Google Images then, which is fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah. Do you see it at the top?
Oh, I can't see anything. I just see the Yahoo thing. You have to change the tab on the share my screen.
Hold on. Hold on. What do you see? Oh,
all I see is YouTube. Yeah.
Hold on. What do you mean? Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm just learning, bro. I'll get there. I'll get there one of these days.
Hopefully sometime this week then. I'm just messing.
Look, you see that?
Oh, is that it?
You're unable to view this post because this account owner limits who can view that post.
Lucky you.
I'm
just
trying
go
to
images. If you click on images, go to the top. You go click on images.
Images.
You can see the tweet. It should be just add the words tweet to the search box.
Andrew Tate. Okay. Andrew Tate, Christ is King tweet.
Can you see it now? Any of these ones?
Is it this one here?
Can you read it?
As a Muslim,
you can click on the thing. Yeah, I don't think it will be Twitter. Is it Twitter?
No, it's not gonna let me.
Okay, it's fine. That's fine. I can see it on the screen. That's fine. I can't see it on my phone because I'm talking to you through my phone, but I can see it on the YouTube screen because I've got the app as well. So the viewers can see it as well. It's nice and big actually. So as a Muslim, it warms my heart to see resurgence of spirited Christian declarations. Like
Christ spirited Christian.
Yeah, spirited Christian. So he's talking to the individual saying Christian, not Christianity. So he's talking to the individual. He's pointing his finger at his Christian followers. It warms as a Muslim. So I am a Muslim. That's fair enough. Warms my heart to see the resurgence of spirited. Okay, that's ambiguous as it is. Fair enough. Kind of weird. Still wrong, but what could he mean? And then he goes to Christ is King. All right. And then I pray Christianity regains its strength and protects its societies against the pervasive. My readings are like pervasive and consistent erosion of morality by the deviance of Satan. Okay, so Christ is King is it's blasphemy from an Islamic perspective, right? Well, actually, it's not. really blasphemous. I don't to say Christ is the Son of God. That's very blasphemous. There's not ambiguity on it, right? Islamically, it's impermissible. It's like saying, from a Christian perspective, there was no virgin birth. No, even that's a bit, even that's not the same level. I don't know Christianity that well.
No, that's fine. That's fine, bro. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Something as heavy as it's pretty heavy. It's the Quran is not ambiguous about how heavy it is to say that Christ is the Son of God. Right? There's a whole verse. There are many verses, but there's a whole chapter like dedicated. Well, there's a lot of details. This is not the situation. This is not the case. But anyway, Christ is king. How is that? How you what's going through your mind? Like we convert to Islam. You convert to another religion. Converts make mistakes. They go back to bad habits. That's fair enough. But this one seems unnecessary. Okay, I get you used to drink and now you drink. You have bad habits that are difficult to drop off and to kick away. But I can't overlook a man who speaks for a living, who has a great social media presence, whose followers essentially bankroll his lifestyle and his success, because you have the war room, you have the what's it called, the real world university, whatever garbage it is. So all this stuff that's a waste of money, but essentially makes an insecure person feel less insecure, right? Study online so you don't listen to these idiots because blah 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 blah. I made my money. The war room, because life is war. You're at war. If somebody has to remind you're at war, then maybe the war's in your head. Maybe if somebody charges you to be in a particular room that's referred to as the war room and remind you that life is a battle and so on and so forth, and charge you for it, 5,000 per head. And when you get there, it's mostly people who have done nothing with their lives and been duped into the same thing.
So why do you think he's saying it?
Because there's a lot of insecure people online. And for some reason, a lot of them are Muslims and a lot of them are Christians. I don't know what's going on in the West, that there's a lack of identity, that people have to run towards religion, but in a selfish sort of weak way, almost like platitudes. Because Christianity is simple. It's a lot of commandments, a lot of rules, promise of reward of paradise or heaven, and forgiveness and what do you call it, redemption. I think you mentioned more than once, or
No, it's
Christ
just,
the Redeemer or something.
it's very simple.
Yeah.
Repent, follow
Repentance,
Christ.
that's it.
Repent, follow Christ. That's it. Done. It's
Yeah.
you do that, you're all right. That is Christianity. But what do you call that behavior? The behavior that Andrew Tate, what do you call that behavior? Because he can't look, we can't keep making excuses for, oh, he's a new Muslim, oh, he's this.
Why
Why?
Why?
Because the writing is on the wall. To me, that is deceptive behavior. He is a new Muslim, but he's also a public speaker. He's also an extremely intelligent man, and he's also a well-read man.
Accountability.
And we can't keep brushing, just like I wouldn't do it for a Christian. I don't think it's wise for anyone to do it for someone like Andrew Tate. We are not talking about, I wouldn't even make that excuse for, I mean, unless you couldn't read. That's the only time I would probably this guy needs to learn how to read first before, but even then it would still be a stretch for me. But if you've been in the religion, I'm assuming he came to the religion because he saw something in the religion that he liked. Not
necessarily. If I can correct you there.
I'm sure there's plenty of different reasons.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a plethora of different reasons.
Okay.
But my point is to me, that's deceptive behavior. And he wrote it in a very deceiving way. Now, I look at it like, I was asking the same question. Why would a Muslim even, and look at in his comment sections, there are Muslims basically saying, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to use that type of language. You're not supposed to say that. Like you said, it's blasphemous according to Islam. So they even pulling his card out, and I'm sorry to say, it's like he's around too many. Like, if he wasn't, he should have. Okay, put it this way: if he really didn't know, and this is all due to ignorance, he should have at least consulted someone before tweeting that. At least, just because of his.
You think he didn't?
Hold on. I don't know. I can't assume something that I don't know.
So I'll be quiet.
Exactly. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't say whether he consulted. I wasn't there, but someone with his internet presence, fame and so on and so forth. I mean, you would assume that he would have at least asked around. You know what I mean? Like, look, is this appropriate? I'm gonna say something, because I mean, he should know something about the religion by now. Anyone who enters into a Christian religion, let's say enters into a Christian religion, they would know not to do certain things in Christianity, that we would consider blasphemous. At least that he should understand. To me, that's deceptive behavior. That's the only way I can look at it. But I mean, I also want to get into where this whole thing came from as well, because it all started with Andrew Clavin. And Andrew Clavin made a comment or made an assessment, and that assessment then led to an assessment of Candace Owens. Andrew Clavin. Andrew Clavin is he works for Daily Wire, for the Daily Wire.
Okay.
He's one of the speakers there. And everything started really with his assessment of Candace Owens' tweet in regards to Christ is King, because she was the first one who tweeted that, and she tweeted it as
popularized it.
It was against Ben Shapiro. So it was going back and forth with Ben Shapiro. And she tweeted it, Christ is King. Now, Andrew Clavin basically did a show where he was essentially he was just analyzing.
Is this the bald guy?
The
old guy.
Old guy. He's on the thumbnail. So he's a Jew who converted to Christianity, but he did say some things that make me believe that he's not a Christian at all, because a Christian would never ever.
Is that in your video?
I was actually going to play the video as well, so we can react to it. But basically, it started with Candace Owens, going back and forth with Ben Shapiro when they had that little tiff, and she ended up saying, "Oh, Christ is King," to Ben Shapiro. We can actually pull up the tweet as well and read that. And what ended up happening after that is she gets fired, and then Andrew Clavin comes out and does, which I found very funny. He only did the review after she left.
After she left the building.
After she left the building, basically, and then he did a review. He looked at Candace Owens, everything that she has said in regards to Jewish people, basically, and he was basically calling it anti-Semitic. Hold on, Candace Owens tweet, Christ is King tweet. Hold on, guys. Just looking for this kind of Christ is King.
Take your time.
Yeah, sorry about that. What does she say? Is this the one where she goes? Yeah, she goes, blessed are, and this is what was I think she was responding to Ben Shapiro. She goes, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile you and persecute you and call you all kind of evil against me falsely for my sake. No one, and then she goes, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This is all basically taken from the scriptures, from the Bible. And then she tweets, Christ is king. And this is all basically a response to Ben Shapiro. This is what they were basically going back and forth about. So, and then when it ended up happening is, so recently, what ended up happening is Andrew Clavin decides to kind of talk about what's happened in a nutshell.
So the video you can play.
I couldn't read that properly because it was so. Hold on a second. And what's his name? Fuentes did a reacted to his video. That was something else. Seriously, something else.
Can you, while you're playing the video, could you point out to me the part that makes you question his Christianity?
The part that makes me question his Christianity.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because he said, I found that disturbing as.
Are you going to play it or tell me? Or? I don't mind either way. I don't mind.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah, basically, I don't know exactly what the timestamps are, but yeah, what he basically said was, he said that he wishes, he doesn't think that that God would want Ben Shapiro to become a Christian. That's what he said. He said that he wouldn't, he doesn't think that he would want Ben Shapiro to become a Christian.
He's mind reader, yeah.
Sorry.
He's a mind reader. Of all the minds he's reading minds, God's mind.
Something like that.
I mean, in my mind, I wished everybody would come back to Islam, but I'm not going to speak on behalf of God. That's from the Islamic perspective. That's one hell of a thing to do. It's a major sin to speak on God's behalf.
Yeah, and this is a Jew who basically converted to Christianity, who claims he converted to Christianity, and he says he wouldn't want Ben Shapiro, who is a Jew, to convert to Christianity. I mean, as a Christian, I could never say that. I want everyone to become Christians. I want the Muslims to become Christians, the atheists to become Christians. I want the whole world to become Christians, the Jews to become Christians, everyone to become Christians. This is
because you see it as salvation.
Sorry?
Because you see it as salvation.
Did he see what?
Because you see Christianity as salvation. You wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, no, Christ. Yeah, Christ says it in the Bible. There is no salvation except through him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's for a Christian to say, I don't want you to convert to Christianity means I don't want you to be saved. I want you to go to hell.
Thank you. That's exactly it.
Which is such an odd thing for another human being to wish on another human being.
Why would you wish that on Ben Shapiro?
Payroll?
Why wouldn't you want Ben Shapiro to become a Christian, knowing that salvation is only through Christ? So that's why I was sitting there thinking, like, hold on, what is this guy up to? And in the same breath, he turns around and says, Jesus is king, he is God, is this, and then he goes and says something like that. And I'm like, hold on, your language is not matching up. You're not making sense here.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm looking at Andrew Clavin like, yo, there's something going on here that's off, that doesn't make any sense at all. You just contradicted yourself completely.
Maybe these trad cons aren't to be trusted over after all.
Only Jesus is to be trusted. No man is to be trusted. But the thing is, it's like so that was the part that I was like, this is just off. This doesn't make any sense. And then of course, Nick Fuentes was always going to pick up on it. So I went and watched Nick Fuentes after this. I watched this. And
where do you see him? Isn't he banned on everything?
Sorry?
Isn't he banned on everything?
He's on Rumble.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So basically what happened is, so Andrew Clavin was just reacting to he was trying to make sense of, he was trying to expose the anti-Semitic rhetoric from Candace Owens over the years. Do you see what I'm saying? Like apparently he said things, Candace Owens has said things like, you know, when the Nazis burned the books. Yeah. She said, I think some of those books should have been burned. She said basically he mentioned all the inflammatory things that she has said that that people
Bad
can
light.
perceive, that Jews perceived as anti-Semitic over the years. And then she goes with this line, and then she mentions this line, Christ is King. So he looked at that and he thought, oh, you're misusing the term Christ is King in order to incite hatred against the Jews. That's, you're using it. Why? Because I can look at your history, I can see all the bad things that you've said about Jewish people. So when you say Christ is King, you don't really mean it in that way. You really mean it in a way to incite hatred against the Jews. So therefore, he calls that anti-Semitic, and he goes to great lengths to say things like, "Oh no, no, of course Christ is King, but of course you can still use the word to with basic kind of like what Andrew Tate is doing." So he comes to that conclusion, and then what happens after is Nick Fuentes comes along and he reacts to it, and then of course Nick Fuentes kind of exposed some things about what Andrew Clavin was saying that wasn't matching up. I'll be honest with you. And
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, that was basically it. I was gonna go on.
So just based on what you said now, because this is new information to me, that she said it. I know she said it. I know she said Christ is King, but I think she said it more than once throughout. It wouldn't surprise me if she said it more than once throughout her career, because she is Christian, and I'm assuming she says it casually, and maybe if she said it right at the end to maybe be a what they call it, a dog whistle to neo-Nazis who disguise themselves as Christians, which is definitely the case on Twitter, and definitely the case from what I've seen on social media, mainly Twitter. Neo-Nazis who pretend to be Christians, and anti-Semites who all of a sudden are now remembering their Christianity as soon as Israel is attacking Palestinians. I do not like the Daily Wire. I think it's a filthy, dirty organization, and I'm glad they're crumbling. But I do see Candace Owens as a dishonest person or an untrustworthy person. Not that, as you said, not trust can only be completely with God. Of course, your perspective would be Jesus. My perspective would be Allah, the one true God. It's interesting how you would do that about your own former employee, to just throw mud at her as she's leaving. She can do it. Bad taste, but as an employer, you don't do it. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's wise. I'll tell you why, because it shows poor judgment on your side. That you have this person who's been on your payroll for God knows how long, and who's been anti-Semitic the whole time. And on top of that, this is where I make it a bit personal, and I don't trust it. A reason I don't trust it, this is my perspective, is that she invited Steven Crowder's wife. When you remember Steven Crowder, when he was going through the situation with his wife, and his wife or somebody was releasing videos of their arguments within the household and going through the divorce. This must have been sometime last year. Do you remember this?
Yeah. The Steven Crowder situation. Yeah.
Blessed is the peacemaker. How much of a peacemaker can you be when there are two people what seemingly on their way towards divorce, and it's publicly, and you go out of your way to invite the person who's one half of this dynamic that has a going through an emotional situation, because divorce is emotional, no two ways about it, and divorce is serious, no two ways about it. To invite them on to give their side of the story, to expose their former ex-husband, no good in that. That's no peacemaker to me. If my friend comes to me and says, I'm going through a divorce, I say, I wish you best of luck. Especially because you have kids, I would encourage you only to stay within the relationship. I would not encourage divorce, because there's no good in it to encourage it. It's a difficulty. Well, it's not. There could be some good in divorce, because divorce is permissible, but I can't take the chance of being wrong, telling you to get divorced and being wrong, because the consequences of what happens to those children is on me, because I'm the one that pushed the boat or rocked the boat or pushed the situation from possibly to certainly I should get a divorce. That's no peacemaker to me. And when she says Christ is King, I'll be honest with you, I'm assuming the best in her, and I'm just assuming that the best. I am sure she's sincere in her devotion to Christianity, and when she says it, she just means I'm just expressing my, I'm attaching myself to my faith. But I've seen a lot of poor character in her, and I see nothing but filthy behavior in the Daily Wire network as a whole. And I'm glad that this cannibalism that they're doing to themselves is bringing their house down.
Just to add to what you say, I think we also need to be careful with one thing.
Right.
Let's not forget. Of course, none of us are perfect. And I think if we were all put on under the magnifying glass, I think, you know, in the public side, let's say, you know, our whole lives was in front of the public, people, there would be many faults found, you know, within every single person, and people could, you know, draw from that many reasons. Oh, he's not a real Christian, he's not a real Muslim, he's not a real. If our lives was to put under the magnifying glass and everyone was to kind of, you know, publicly see our you know, everything, all our faults, all our achievements, and so on and so forth. So I don't think, yes, to me she made up, yes, she wasn't a peacemaker in that instance. Is she a Christian? Yes. But is she still a sinner? Yes, too. Is she going to make mistakes? Yes. Is her life in front of the public? Yes. Is it under the magnifying glass? Yes. Because she's a sinner, are we going to find faults? Yes, we are. And one of her faults is what you rightly pointed out, which is, you know, I don't think she helped that marriage one bit. I think all she did was to further destroy it because she took a side. She took a side instead of saying, instead of admitting that she didn't know everything, and it's best for me to stay out of it because I don't know all the ins and outs, and I'm not just going to come in and judge, you know, when I don't know all the facts, when I haven't been a part of it. So you're absolutely right, but I think that none of us are perfect, and if our lives were put under the magnifying glass, people find many faults in it that would make us look just as bad as Candace Owens. So that's to me, that's an important thing to remember, about all of us, because I'm definitely not a perfect Christian, and but by the standard, of course, it is to keep following, and it is to keep, you know, growing closer to God. But yeah, that's just something that I had to mention. What do you reckon about that? Do you agree, disagree?
I disagree.
Okay.
Absolutely disagree.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I'll tell you why. You can, if you look for a fault, you will find a fault, and that's on me for looking for it. If you show me a fault and I find it, that's on you. The criticism of Andrew Tate's tweet comes under the same banner as the criticism of Candace Owens. Nobody told you to say Christ is King. Nobody told you to say it warms my heart that Christianity is growing strength. Nobody told you to say if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Essentially a dog whistle, essentially a call to action, essentially saying something that may call inflame a situation that's already ablaze. That would be the Jewish image in the world by their own actions through the bombing of a small area, small piece of land with 50% child civilians and a very small population of people, a large population of people in a small area who've been told to go south and now being bombed in the south. The Jews have always had a lot of animosity towards them in the West throughout history. To say such a thing, you know what you mean. You know why you're doing it. You are capitalizing on weakness, animosity, hatred, ignorance, foolishness, racism, is anti-Semitism, so on and so on and so on. You're capitalizing on the Israel-Palestine situation, Jew hatred, and it's pathetic. unnecessary, and it doesn't take much moral conscience to leave that alone. Just say Allah knows best would be far better, rather than say Christ is king.
Do you know what? I actually agree with you, bro. And to anyone watching right now, guys, you can always join us as well if you've got an opinion on that, on what we are talking about. So feel free. The what do you call it? The link is in the chat. Bro, I actually agree with you because and when I was writing something about this, and I said when I look at Andrew Clavin, when I look at Candace Owens, sorry to interrupt you, bro. Candace Owens, Andrew Clavin, when I look at Andrew Tate, when I look at what's his name, Sneeko, and Nick Fuentes, to me, what I saw is everyone is using the term Christ and King to advance their political goals or they
social media presence.
Yeah, whatever it is, social media presence, political goals, religious goals, whatever it is. I don't think it has anything to do with Christ. It has anything to do with Christianity. To me, it doesn't. None of. I don't think when Candace Owens mentioned Christ is King, I don't think she had Jesus in mind, because she was having a back and forth with Ben Shapiro, and I think she did it, because Andrew Clavin did mention a couple of things that she did say in the past about Jews that I did think, whoa, you said that? Okay. Then I looked at and
what
then I'm looking at I mean, we'd have to play the video because I can't remember everything, but
sorry.
Then I looked at some of the things that Andrew Clavin was saying, talking about how he's a Christian when he's not really a Christian, because a Christian would never say certain things, and then he said it. Then I'm thinking, hold on. And then the fact that he waited until she was fired for him to do this hit piece on her, I sat there and thinking, you're just trying to advance your, whatever ideology you want to promote or political or your biases or political affiliation, political goals. That's what you're trying to do. And then I look at what's his name, Nick Fuentes, and I see the same thing. He gets all the neo-Nazis. Well, they call them neo-Nazis. Everyone calls Nick Fuentes a racist. What else? What else they call him? Racist, nationalist, anti-Semitic. All of those things. And
Anti-Semite, white
nationalist. And he uses that anti-Semite. Yeah. And he uses what Andrew Clavin says. He exposes the flaws in Andrew Clavin. He uses to rile up people who have the same views as him, that neo-nationalist kind of type of mentality. So he uses that to advance his political, goals, aspirations. That's what he does. And then I see Andrew Tate taking what Nick Fuentes basically says and using that to advance whatever political agenda he has in mind, and same as Sneeko. This is all I'm seeing. I'm not seeing anyone. This has nothing to do with Christianity. This is just people trying to advance their political affiliations and aspirations. This is all I'm seeing, bro. That's all I'm seeing. That's
selfish.
Yeah.
One. I agree with your assessment 1000%. It's just a shame that we're in a time where some Muslims would use Islam for their own gain, and some Christians, from your perspective, use Christianity for their own gain.
That kind of always would be.
Yeah, it's the abuse of something so, from my perspective, and I'm sure you would agree from your perspective, something so valuable being treated like something so valueless. What do you mean Christ is king? And why are you saying it now? To both sides, whether it be the Muslims for some reason saying that, or the Christians for conveniently saying that when it's convenient to them. I get it. There's a lot of people who are lacking self-identity, who feel unsure in this new world, this modern world, should I say, who feel left out. They're unsure of who they are and what they are and how they fit in this world and how they're going to survive. And what the future holds, and so on and so on. And I understand the pain of human beings, because obviously we live in a capitalist world, and well, we live in the world, whether it be capitalist, communist, monarchy, feudalism, whatever it is. There are always people that are given a lot, and there are always people that will receive little. And it's up to you to decide how you manage the trial from God. And some people, with their wealth or their poverty, will misuse that. And the wealthy man will take advantage of the poor man. The poor man would curse the skies and say, "Why have you cursed me when you could have given me this, that, and the other?" When there is good in forbearance and patience and gratitude, and this life isn't forever, and you will go back to where you came from, meaning you came from God, and you'll go back to God, not go back to your own country. I'm in, yeah, I'm not doing a dog whistle there. You came from God, and you came from God, and you'll go back to God. From, what is it you Christians say, from ashes to ashes, to dust to dust? I assume that's a Christian thing. I only seen it on TV. Thank you for correcting me. It's good to have a Christian here that can correct my quote, right? When there is so much reward in that, and this is Ramadan, I'm Muslim. One thing you learn in Ramadan is you don't need a lot to survive. And in fact, for some reason, the less you consume, the happier you are.
Facts.
You have a few small meals. You're like, wow, I am so full. I could not bear to look at another meal. I am blessed. And all you did is not eat for God knows how many hours. I feel so light in terms of my moral burden, because I haven't been talking all day, gossiping about other people, because I'm reminded of Ramadan. Don't involve yourself in meaningless conversations. I feel happy because I've committed myself to the remembrance of God for most of the day, so on and so on and so forth. Ramadan's a great. That's why everybody loves Ramadan. It's like, oh, I love this month. That's why everybody's nice to everybody. For some reason, there's more food available. For some reason, everybody's sharing food. For some reason, so why is it that these things, and your perspective, I assume you would say of your religion, why is this beautiful thing being turned into muck and mud to be slung against? And I get it, it's the trial of this world. God will reveal something to the people, and some will accept it and cherish it, and some will abuse it and bastardize it for their own gain. But it's strange times that we're living in, that we have it on both sides, and it's documented forever. Well, until the Twitter servers crash, maybe 100, 200 years from now, or whatever, right? It's this social contagion of religious virtue signaling is documented forever. Religion is big business, bigger than it ever was. It can stop a man from going to prison and send him money while he's running around, and not to question Andrew Tate's Christianity, but certainly not to question Andrew Tate's Islam, sorry. But he's certainly living well off those those tweets and such. And, Allah is the best of planners, and what I refer to as Shisha Kaf Islam. It's misquoting a verse here and misquoting a verse there, and using words and hadith against people rather than as a reminder. And it seems like the same chaos is occurring in the Christian world, where it's used these terms as you wish, when you wish, how you wish, against who you wish, rather than they're not your words. You speak them with responsibility because you're using the words of somebody else. They're alone, and you'll be brought to account for what you said and what you did. And if you take things, and I guess in your religion, say the Lord's name in vain, right?
Yeah.
Use it as something, as entertainment, vain meaning something shallow and meaningless, and entertainment in a sense, as I perceive it, you will be brought to account heavily.
That's right. It's a fact. 100%.
And so it's been on the social media level, it's being reflected. It's essentially Christ is king. For some Christians, it means the king. But it seems like some people
they're taking the name, God's name in vain. That's what they're doing. It's called blasphemy. For anyone using it with the wrong intentions, it's blasphemy. But the worst thing is they're duping people into believing that their intentions are pure when their intentions are harmful. The intentions is to push their selfish reasons, their selfish beliefs, their selfish intentions. So their selfish political aspirations. That's their intention. And for you to dupe people into falling for that or pushing for that, while at the same knowing that this will have a negative impact on a certain group of people, because you're duping them into supporting you. It's to me it is evil. It is complete evil. But yeah, and also they are taking the Lord's name in vain. They're taking God's name in vain, which is blasphemy, and that is wrong. That is wrong as well. But shall we react to what's his name, Andrew Clavin?
Please, by all means.
Andrew Clavin. There we go.
People who want to pretend to be fooled because they hate the Jews. The biggest truth that Candace told in that way, that I find, again, and this is not personal animus toward her, but I find difficult to excuse this when anybody does it. The truth that hid wickedness, that I thought was the most wicked truth to use, was the truth that Christ is king. It is almost exactly 20 years since I acknowledged the kingship of Christ in my life.
So right now, what he did before this, he gave a list of things that he believed is anti-Semitic, that Candace has said in the past. That's what he basically gave a list of things that he believes that what she said was anti-Semitic, and this is the biggest thing that he finds that she said is anti-Semitic.
And over the universe as well. It's like 2 weeks and it'll be 20 years since my baptism. It was hard for me to do. I'm a proud man and I want to be king. I want to be in charge of my life. I want to take credit for the good things that happened to me. I want to say, what my opinion is about right and wrong. I don't want to bend the knee to anybody. And people who know me will tell you, I don't bend the knee to anybody except Christ the King. And the day I took off my paper crown and bowed my knee before his crown of golden light, I became a true man and a free man, and the joy in my heart has only grown.
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform that did that other than Wix. Hi, I'm Liv. I run...
I don't want to bend the knee to anybody, and people who know me will tell you, I don't bend the knee to anybody except Christ the King. And the day I took off my paper crown and bowed my knee before his crown of golden light, I became a true man and a free man, and the joy in my heart has only grown. When I did this, by the way, the priest who baptized me said, Christians won't accept you. You'll still be a Jew. And I said, well, I am. That's my race. I'm a Jew. I'm proud of my race.
That's actually nonsense, what he just said now about Christians won't accept you. That's BS.
Say that again. What did he say?
He said that when he got baptized, apparently the priest said, oh, by the way, Christians won't accept you because you're a Jew.
What does that mean?
What? Are you serious?
Isn't that the point of the baptism? You're new or something?
Exactly. It's like when a Muslim takes a shahada, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
when a non-Muslim basically becomes a Muslim.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Don't you see loads of Muslims being happy for him?
Oh, we love him.
Yeah, there you go.
He's our best friend.
It's the same thing with Christians. So when he said that, I found that very, very, very disturbing, because I'm like, no, Christians would have been extremely happy that you've just converted and you got baptized. They would have been extremely happy. So that is deception. That is deceiving. He's lying.
Race. It's a great race. Has done many, many great things, including write the Bible. And, I am a Jew, but that hasn't happened at all. Christians have welcomed me with open arms, except this Christ the King anti-Semitic crowd. Christ is the King, and one day every knee will bow and recognize it, because he's not just my king, he's king of the universe. But when you use that phrase to mean that God has abandoned his chosen people, the Jews, through whom he came into this world incarnate, and that he's broken his promises, his covenant with the Jews, you are quoting scripture like Satan does in the Bible. You are quoting scripture to your purposes, and that to me is specifically wicked. You know, when you spit that phrase at Ben,
Oh my days, this guy is he's falling into the deep end. Christ was a Jew. Jesus Christ was a Jew, and he is the Messiah. He is who the Jews are meant to be waiting for. He brings salvation. He brings salvation to the Jews, and there were Jews that accepted, and there were Jews that did not accept it.
Yeah.
So the Jews that did not accept it, what do you think is going to happen to them? If you reject salvation, what do you think happens to you?
Damnation.
There you go, damnation. That's exactly it. Jesus was very clear. Salvation is only through him. If you reject him, there is no salvation. So all those Jews that reject Jesus, okay, just like anyone that rejects Jesus, all right, it's not salvation that you're going to get. So what is he talking about? God hasn't abandoned anything. He has offered salvation to the whole humanity. Whether you accept it or not, that's not on God. That's on you, bro. You chose that path, not God. God fulfilled his bargain, his side of the deal. He said, okay, fine, you lot sinned. I came, I saved you. Now you choose. And then, if you choose wrong, I'm sorry. You know what's waiting for you in the end. It's that simple. So I don't know what he's talking about. As a Christian, that's very odd language. As a Christian, that's really weird what he's saying right now.
Shapiro, my friend Ben Shapiro. And I understand this. All of you who love Ben, and I love Ben and Jordan Peterson, you all want to see them find Jesus because you know what joy and freedom that gives you, and you certainly feel that it alters your relationship with God. But when I think about this, to be honest with you, and I know some people will disagree with this, but life is not a game show where you guess the name of God and you get to go to heaven. Honk, yes, the name is Jesus. I look at Ben's life and I think if Ben were to embrace Jesus Christ, it would cause devastation to his family, to the people who love him, to the people who listen to him, to his position in the world. I just have this feeling that God has put this guy where he wants him to do what he wants him to do. And as you know, I feel that
I'm not Christian. Can I comment?
What the hell?
Can I comment?
Yeah, sorry, bro. Sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Because I don't want to lose my thought. Sorry to interrupt your
it's fine.
Your belly laughter. Your laughter. Your deep laugh. Because from a Christian perspective, I can understand it. You either cry or you laugh when you hear that. You just laugh. I'm Muslim, so I have no dog in this fight. Ideally, everybody converts to Islam because that is the true salvation, final revelation, right? But if I was Christian, I was to hear this, I would think, first of all, he would lose his family, he would lose his position in this world. Yeah, that's the point. I have come to turn mother against son or something like this.
Days. Oh, I was just thinking about that scripture. You literally took. Oh, I was going to quote. But go ahead, bro.
You please finish the quote because my.
Oh no! That's not the same one. That's not the same one. That's not the same one. But go ahead.
Okay. Tell me what you're gonna say.
No. What I was gonna say is, Jesus says, if you don't love your father, mother, children, more than me, if you don't love me, you don't love me more than them, then you're not worthy of me.
Yeah.
So you have to love Jesus. You have to put Jesus over your father, your mother, your children, everyone. If you don't do that, you are not worthy of him. That is literally it.
And stop there. Thank you for giving me context. I'm going to carry on to my second thought before I lose it. Thank you for giving me context. So yeah, the Islamic perspective is the same. I've told you the story of Noah and his son, peace be upon him, where the flood has come. His son is on the riverbank or on land, and Noah's on the boat. I'm paraphrasing this. People can check it. Where Noah says to his son, this is Islamic interpretation, please come on the boat. The warning has been given, so on and so forth. The flood is coming, and his son stubbornly says no. And then while he's ushering him or begging him to come onto the boat, the wave crashes and kills him and takes his life. And at some point, Noah says to Allah, why do you take my son? Why do you take my family? And he says he wasn't your family. He was a disbeliever. So meaning, from that interpretation, it's upon you to seek salvation for yourself, accept it. You cannot save others. So from an Islamic perspective, convert to Islam. And if your relatives don't, they don't. If they do, they do. You have Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, his closest uncle, who was very good to him, did not convert to Islam. And is he saved? No, he will be in the fire, right? So the scripture is very clear of save yourself, because you're in no position to save others. It's only through God that saves. Make the choice, save yourself now, and in the resurrection, on the day of judgment, everybody will be judged individually. So that's it. And our position in this world, the religious perception is the world is temporary. There's a more permanent one after this. And then the second thing he says, my feeling is God won't want you to convert. Oh my God. Who is Ben Shapiro? From a Christian perspective, is he greater than Constantine? What's that guy called? Constantine? An emperor? Right?
Yeah, he's just a normal human being, he's a sinner.
Yeah, so you have people, far greater people throughout human history, far more important. They weren't just running some stupid YouTube channel, speaking really fast, arguing with people, and being a bit nerdy, to be honest with you, right? And weird, who converted to Christianity and who abandoned everything in this world, right? You have the story of Moses. He was the Pharaoh's stepson to a certain degree, right? He abandoned, basically Egypt being the America of its time, the superpower of its time, the king of that superpower, the Pharaoh, being God on earth from his perspective and from his people's perspective, right? And then him saying no, I am, and the trials that he had to go through. He had to go to a person who mass murdered children and did that and declared himself as God, and he still stood his ground. So you have too many examples of you must sacrifice yourself for your religious beliefs to save yourself, even if the world is against you. Let alone, I might lose my position in the world. Who are you? You're not even in the video. I don't even see you half the time. Are you the guy reviewing Cardi B videos and stupid movies? What kind of rabbi is this? You're nobody.
No, he's not a rabbi. He's not a rabbi. He's not a
Okay.
rabbi.
What kind of religious? What great holding in this universe do you have that you cannot, from the Christian perspective, answer the call to God? There is that. Even if we to analyze it, you're still a guy who's just a YouTube guy. But okay.
He said
so
it's absurd.
So just to conclude, it's absurd on every. What he said is, from a Christian perspective, it's absurd beyond absurd. But carry on.
Yeah. He said his family would be devastated, and I literally just quoted that passage from the Bible that Jesus said, "If you don't love your father, if you don't love me, and your mother, then you're not worthy of me." So what he basically said is, when he said his family would be devastated, what he basically means is his family is more important than God, all right, than him being with God. I mean, the purpose of our existence is to grow closer to God and be with God, according to Christian belief. So you're telling me that basically, then of course you obtain salvation, but only God knows who's going to be saved, who's not going to be saved. But so you're saying that your family is more important. This is why your family would be devastated and all of that type of stuff. So the devastation that your family will feel, that is more important than following God, being closer to God, and obtaining salvation. That is more important. Second, he said that he thinks that God put Ben Shapiro there to do what he's doing right now. First of all, the problem with that is he's putting himself in the position of God. He's putting himself in the same place as God, because he's saying he thinks that God. He's thinking for God now. He started thinking for God now. So if you're starting to think for God, you become God. So you are your own God. So you're telling me you know what God thinks about what God wants out of Ben Shapiro? Are you serious? And
He's
you're
in
a
a-
Christian?
He's in a WhatsApp group with God.
Yeah, and you're a Christian? Yeah, he's on WhatsApp. And you're a Christian? Are you serious? Obviously, what God wants out of what God wants for Ben Shapiro is much more glorious and much more better than what he thinks God wants for Ben Shapiro. So, regardless of how he thinks, you can't put yourself in a position of God. Regardless of what he thinks, what God would have wanted for him, for Ben Shapiro, would have been so much better, so much more glorious than what he thinks God should want for Ben Shapiro. And that is my problem. That is so.
That's one problem.
Yeah, I'm going to do a specific reaction just on him, and it's going to be called "You Are Not a Christian," because no way you can say that and call yourself a Christian. No way, Jose. It does what? Are you serious? The only person that Jesus doesn't mince his words. He's not. You know, Jesus even says your yes should be if someone asks you a question, it should be your answer should always be yes or no. Anything else from that, anything else comes from the devil. So, but the thing is, the point I'm trying to make is this guy is not a Christian, and he's showing is literally exposing himself. He's exposed himself. I think it's because he's got so triggered that now he's shown his true colors. But yeah, he's definitely not a Christian. You can't think for God, and you can't say that, you know, he would be better off if he wasn't a Christian. You're crazy, bro.
Here's another question.
Mm.
So I'm Muslim, and I can see clearly this is weird, because I've never heard a Christian speak like this, that would refer to him as a Christian. And I'm not questioning his Christianity, I'm not in that position, but it's certainly strange. You're a Christian. You're saying this is not what we would say. This is weird. The next question is, well, having both of us come to the same conclusion that this is something's wrong here, to say the least, and I will say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah,
I will say the least, and you will say the most. Most being this guy's not Christian, and I will say the least. This is weird. What gives him the confidence to say this? Because if he was Muslim, oh my God, there would be so many YouTube Muslim reactions like, who this guy think he is? Blah 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 blah. Da 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 da. Chapter this, chapter that, chapter this. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. What is it that God is telling you that He's not telling the rest of us? Right? Are you a prophet, or are you God Himself? Either way, it's wrong and it's unacceptable. So on and so on and so on. Right? It goes back to the Christ is King thing. Christ is King has become popular with people who don't necessarily care what it means to them, but more care what it means to other people. I know that for a fact. Why? That's my assertion. When you say Christ is King, in this current time, in this social media environment, you're really not saying that because you mean it in most cases, not in all cases, because you see Christ is King and then a bunch of other tweets that are pretty much anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, anti-whatever, when they really should be anti-war, right? Anti-war is all good. Peace is blessed be the peacemaker, as the Christian would say. And obviously Islam, something similar. I don't remember the verse, but you get the consistency of children should not die at the request. Children should not be liquidated because of land disputes and political disputes, and whatever it is. And if you're going to send in ground troops, that's one thing. But if you're going to drop bombs from a distance and kill innocent civilians, that's another. And it's horrific. This whole thing is horrific, and unforgivable, right? But so when people say Christ is King, generally in the current times, we know what you mean, right? You're saying you don't like Jews. When he makes this video and he's pointing out, hey, the Jewish guy should remain Jewish, even though I'm Christian and this is meant to be a traditionally Christian channel or whatever, pretty much, because most of the people who talk on this are Christians. So even though Ben Shapiro is on the channel, he's only one guy amongst many Christians.
Well, we just found out that he's not a real Christian.
He's one Jew amongst a few Christians who present themselves as Christians. From your perspective, what's the point of this? Because this is, it's not. Wait, it's Christian suicide, meaning your Christian self-deletion. Sorry, but it's not media self-deletion. So who's the audience? Who's watching this, and which Christian is watching this and saying, "Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, let him be." Is it the evangelicals that like the idea of Israel being established again, and then Jesus is the second coming? Is that what it is? Because I've seen that coming up quite often.
Are you referring to the Messianic Jews? Those are Christians that believe in God. He's a Protestant, as far as I know. He's a Protestant, and to me, what he's trying to do is deceive Christians. I don't think it would work. I mean,
It's not much of a deception. That's the thing. It's just kind of dumb. So a part of me is thinking he's selling this idea to people who are already deceiving themselves. And from what I've seen, not to judge, but the only people who I think who call themselves Christians that would buy this are the ones that think that the state of Israel should be established and there should be the sacrifice of calves, a red calf, a red heifer. I've seen a few YouTube videos about that online, because Israel has now there's a few Orthodox Jews, I think, who are slaughtering on the Temple Mount to help reestablish the Temple of Solomon. It's quite a trending thing. I sent a video to it, but you should check it out. I think those are the people who's sending it to. I think that's the message is who's sending. The Jews should remain Jews, and then the Christians should remain Christians, and there should be some sort of sacrifice, and then the second coming will happen. I think that's who he's selling to.
Well, these people are not Christians. You can't be a Christian and believe in those things. You just can't. If your beliefs don't align with Jesus, with Christ, like for example, I watched what he said, and I could see that it didn't align with Christ. In fact, it goes directly against Christ. It goes directly against God. So to me, it's like immediately, you're lying. You're not a Christian. Why? Because I know. I just broke it down. I broke it down earlier. You heard me. You heard me say what Jesus says and what he says contradicts. That's just the facts. What Jesus says and what he says contradicts. If it contradicts, you can't be pushing a Christian ideology. So you must be pushing something else. That's the question. What is it that you're pushing? Because you're definitely not pushing a Christian message. And I would love to question him on it. You're not pushing a Christian message. If you were, there's no way you'd have said those things that he said. There's no way. He's not pushing a Christian message. He's pushing another agenda. And I kind of agree a little bit with Nick Fuentes on this. And
what did he say?
And again, I disagree with Nick Fuentes overall, but his observation, his analysis of his reaction to this, because he did he reacted to what he said, and I want to play. Are we allowed to play Nick Fuentes as a reaction?
I'd rather we not risk it. I don't want to even hear his voice, but I wouldn't mind your interpretation of what he said.
Okay. Because I'm trying to remember. It would have been better to actually play it. But okay. Yeah, so he came to the same conclusions as I did. He came to the same conclusions as I did. No, you're pushing a different message, because he debunked everything that he said about Christianity. He debunked it all, just like I've debunked it now. He debunked it also.
Yeah.
So, and then he turns around and then he says, okay, well, what he's really pushing is he just doesn't want any criticism of Israel of any kind.
But why?
Why? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe because he's a Jew at heart.
I think I know why.
Or he's a Jew. I can't say he's a Jew at heart because not every Jew agrees with him. But why? Because he's one of those guys or Jews or whatever you want to call them that believes that Israel shouldn't be criticized and so on and so forth. You find them in every ideology. You find people like that, but he believes in that because what he did there is expose himself. He literally exposed himself when he talked about Christianity, because everything that he said, that wasn't Christianity, that was something else, and it was very deceiving. Yeah, go ahead.
I disagree. I agree with the first part. It's inconsistent with the Christian message as far as I can tell. If I was to critique this from a Christian perspective, I would say, yep, this is like you need to take another baptism because you failed the first time. There's something wrong. You need to go back to Bible class or something. Stop this whole thing because you're messing up like nobody. Even a child, a young person, sorry, a young person reading when I say young person, I mean a person who's still in school, high school, reading Christianity at a basic level with like, no, sounds like you're thinking for God. Oh, that's wrong. God doesn't want this guy to convert. Well, that's wrong. His family will be upset. Well, who cares? It's basic, it's elementary biblical class, right? I think, and I'm sticking to my theory, because I'm maybe a bit more tapped into social media than you may be, because I'm maybe a bit more current in this. I think it's the golden heifer theory. I think it's evangelicals. I think the big spenders in Christian media in the West are the evangelicals, and those people that want to send money so they can become rich. And Jesus wants you to send, those people who pay for these private jets and think that go donating money and this guy will pray for you and God will listen to his prayers before he listens to you. And these people who sell Christianity. The story is to be sold, not to be told. Is that right?
That's what Fresh said, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is the Christ film to a certain degree, because how much money flows from Protestant pockets into what would be ad hoc, improv, say as you wish, speak as you feel, Christianity media. We see it in the evangelicals, right? Who send a lot of money to a guy so he can have a private jet. So he's not on the same plane as demons in the economy class, as they say. I think it's the same thing. I think at some point you might want to check out the video of the golden calf. They're trying to establish this. It's a popular thing in certain sectors of Christianity because you don't recognize this Christianity because you understand from a Catholic perspective, and I assume you guys are pretty strict on interpretations from what you've told me. And it seems like this is what it is. That's the only conclusion I've come to from the why a Christian would speak like this. I know why. I have my assumptions of why somebody who isn't Christian would say Jesus is Christ, while you're trying to capitalize on the anti-Jewishness within the Christian community or so-called Christian community, and get a few likes and a few follows and a few people that are desperate for attention and recognition and in their perception of the world, and hopefully join your little online websites or whatever it is and click on your blah 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 blah, right, and send you money. And I think this might be the case here from an evangelical perspective. That's the only conclusion I can come to.
I don't think this has anything to do with money. I think that he's definitely not pushing a Christian message. That's been debunked. That's been we'll solve that case. So he's then you have to look at what he says after, what he's pushing for. The underlining message, but what he's really saying here is that Candace Owens is saying Christ is King is anti-Semitic, and he used Candace Owens. He used
So it's a smear campaign.
It's a smear campaign. There's that too. It's a smear campaign against Candace Owens, but it's also a smear campaign against because remember, a lot of people have gone against the Daily Wire also since Candace Owens left. They've called them dishonest. They've called them, these Jews. They got rid of Candace Owens. There's no such thing as free speech in the Daily Wire, and so on and so forth. They're just as bad as the left. That is now the reputation of the Daily Wire at the moment. So in a sense, this is a clapback. So they are responding, and the way he's responding is, first of all, by trying to smear the reputation of Candace Owens. But he did make some valid points about what Candace Owens says that could be interpreted as anti-Semitic. But to attack the term Christ is King, my problem, I don't really get into this anti-Semitic thing, but my problem was, it's like everything that he said was just so against Christianity, and then yet he's calling himself a Christian. That's when I thought, okay, the game is up. Okay, this guy's pushing a whole new agenda here. You know, I was going along with what he was saying. I was like, okay, I can see how you guys could see what she said as anti-Semitic. I can see that. Blah 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 blah. I was following his logic until he revealed himself, until he exposed himself. And he exposed himself by saying some things that were completely anti-Christian. And yet in the same breath, he's calling himself a Christian. So I can only assume that his agenda is twofold. It's one, to smear Candace Owens' name. And you know, and the other one is to push the idea that saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic. You know, he's actually going against the actual term itself. Christ is king. You know, that's what he's doing. So that's my theory on that. And
Christ is king, but not one.
I don't agree with Nick Fuentes. Don't get me wrong. I agree with his analysis as far as it goes as exposing the anti-Christian sentiment that he expressed. I agree with him on that, because I was just able to do the same. But again, what does Nick Fuentes does? He uses this as a way to attack him even further. He uses the Christ is king as a way to attack him even further, and to get other Jews to react to to react by saying, or people that follow him to basically post it everywhere so that they can antagonize Jews. You know, as soon as a Jew says, what do you mean by that? Why are you saying that? Oh, see, they even when we say Christ is king, they're trying to go against that. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, you see, the Jews have taken over everything, blah 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 blah. So they both using it for evil reasons. They're all using it for evil. The way Candace Owens used Christ as king was wrong, in my opinion. The way Andrew Clavin has used it, it is wrong. The way what's his name? The way Nick Fuentes has used is also wrong. But they all had valid criticisms. They all made valid criticisms of each other. You see what I'm saying? But their motivations were all wrong. You know, the motivation of Candace Owens was to basically, try to have one up on Ben Shapiro, and she used the term Christ is king. This guy has a whole completely different motivation. And to me, his motivation is, if you say Christ is king, that is anti-Semitic. Basically, anything you say is, if we don't like it, is anti-Semitic. And then here comes, what's his name, Nick Fuentes, who also makes valid criticisms, just like Andrew Clavin did, and he's also using it for the wrong reasons. And then you see Andrew Tate and Sneeko coming along, and they hear it and they're like, oh, okay, so that's what the neo-Nazis are doing. All right, okay. Oh yeah, we can use this for our own advantage, to get support for our own thing. That
this is trending
there. So they're all using it for evil. All of them are using it for evil, pure evil. And to me, to try to bastardize, to try such a holy name, it's like, you guys are playing with fire, literally. And it's like, carry on as you are, because what you're doing is pure evil, trying to dupe people into saying something, but when the true intention is to really incite hatred towards another group of people, in this case would be the Jews. To me, that's just evil. And so everyone has their own agenda, everyone has their own agenda. So that's my analysis of it.
I agree. It's It's all about what's trending, how to be popular, how to be the center of attention. And it's always been the case. It's always been the case in media. Say what needs to be. Say what can get you the most attention. What is not necessarily the closest to the truth. So what can get you the most attention, can gain you the most income, and gain you the most position, and so on and so forth, and is the most important currency in media as it is as it always been. The strange thing is, religion has become the tool, because in religion there is so much guidance, identity, so many benefits, so many things that can benefit the individual, so many things that can benefit society. Now, why has that been bastardized or whatever it is? Because people take the easy route. People can use religion to point the finger. You could say Christ is king, not necessarily from a Christian perspective, king over you. What it really means is Christ is king over you, not king over me. He's king over you. He gives you rules. He points out criticism in you, and it makes me feel good. That's why I'm saying Christ is king from a Christian perspective. And you have obviously in the Muslim side people saying things, quoting verses here and there, and people who haven't studied the religion, but okay, to quote a verse is good, but you're not quoting a verse so you can throw it at someone. You're quoting a verse to remind people of good and how to, come back to guidance and follow the true path to God. It's weakness. It's pathetic. It's miserly. It's there's no good in it, and people who genuinely committed themselves to the faith come in the crossfire because they're misrepresented again by people who've just hijacked a particular belief or speech. And Andrew Tate converted to Islam, a master of social media, does not make these things and does not do these things ad hoc, and because he wouldn't be so successful considering how much pressure there is on him. How many eyes are on him, and we can all see. You can throw questions at him that he doesn't like in the middle of an interview, and he will be quick on his feet, as they say, and he'll give an answer that will echo throughout the social media and will only gain him more popularity. So he's capable, he's intelligent, he's precise, he has unmatched perspicacity, as he said. Right? He's very good at this. So when he says Christ is king, there's a reason for it, and when he words it in that way, there's a reason for it. Right, you see him in his YouTube videos where he's in his house, in his mansion in blah blah blah, and you see him with like 4 or 5 screens just clicking away, quite nerdy, and not in a weird way, but I mean quite like he's a very intelligent, tech savvy guy, and he's got his finger on the pulse. He's got his finger on the media pulse. Knows what to say, knows how to put things to sound bites, knows how to speak assertively, knows how to gauge his audience, and knows his audience, and knows how to cultivate them and harvest their attention, right? So when he says Christ is king, as a Muslim, there's something to that. What's obviously to that is who reacted to it. Those people who have an agenda associated with anti-Semitism, anti-Israel, because the opposite side will say, hey, this is Christ may be king, right? But don't say it against Jews. Don't be anti-Semitic with it, because it is a tool being used to project anti-Semitism, to further perpetuate hate, because a lot of people, followers of Andrew Tate to a certain degree, followers of the Daily Wire to a certain degree, follows a lot of social media to a certain degree, even including Candaceans, right, have nothing but hate to offer this world. It's gain a woman so you can be the man of the house and she can be in a submissive position to you and blah 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 blah. Gain religion so you can keep away from the heathens, blah blah. There's no getting a relationship because it's part of nature and there's good in it, and you have a good household and you'll be a better father and a husband if you pursue it head forward, and so on and so on. There's no pursue religion because there's a moral obligation and you're going to be led by something. Why not be led by an objective morality rather than a subjective morality, and so on and so forth. It's a media war, and we live in strange times.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. What I see is,
you agree with everything I said. That was genius.
Say that again.
You agree with everything I said. That was genius. I think that's what you meant.
What I see happening here is is for people that are prioritizing one over the other. They're prioritizing something over the other. And what they're prioritizing is their personal ideological beliefs and wants, and that's what they are prioritizing over Christ. And yet they are using Christ, of course, with the exception of Andrew Tate and Sneaker, yet they are using Christ as the driving force to spread whatever ideological inclinations they have. So what they really want to push is not Christ. What they really want to push is, for someone like Nick Fuentes, it would be the alt-right. It would be the nationalist goals. It would be the white race should be the main race in America, America first, and that's what he wants to push. You see what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to what's his name, Andrew. When it comes to Andrew, he wants to push what he wants. To me, he wants to push this, anti-Semitism, basically. And that's what they're doing. They sacrificing. And we do that. I mean, to me, it just comes down to sinning, really and truly. You're sacrificing God over what over what you really want, what your ideological beliefs. What you should prioritize is God. That should be the priority. That's what you should always lead with. That should be the priority. But that's not what's happening here. They're not doing that. That's not the priority. The priority is something else for them, and that's what they are interested in pushing, whatever it is. In the case of Sneaker, they Sneaker and Andrew, they looked at they looked at an opening. They looked at it as, oh, this is okay. This has just opened up something that we can utilize to push whatever we want to push, and that's it. That's all I'm seeing. That's all I'm seeing. And I think up to a certain level, human beings do this all the time. We know what we have to do, and we choose to do what we want to do rather than what we have to do. We choose objective morality. We choose subjective morality over objective morality. We choose ourselves over God. We do that all the time. So Candace Owens chose herself over God. So did Andrew. So did Nick Fuentes. And I can't speak for them. If you're saying that's the case for them, then that's the case for them. So to me, that's all that's happened. That's all that's happened there. And every human being does that up to a certain extent. So not up to a certain extent. We do that all the time. In fact, if we look at most people, and if we were to analyze most people's lives, that that's how they move. Now, why are they using religion? Because religion deals with the core. The religion goes straight to the heart of things. Religion talks about morality, right and wrong. People don't spend most of our day is not spent on thinking about, technological advancements or scientific advancements. Most of our day is not spent on that. That's not what we spend most of our days on. We spend most of our days thinking about right and wrong, or this person did that to me, or what should I do now? What is the right thing to do at this moment? That's what we spend 90% of our time doing is thinking about morality. Oh, I can't believe I just saw this. Did you see this on social media? Did you see that on social media? That's what we spend most of our time doing. Most of our time it's like a moral dilemma. Our lives just comes down to a big moral dilemma. That's really what it comes down to. So religion is at the heart of that, because religion is what says what is right and what is wrong, what dictates what is right and what is wrong. So we are always wrestling with that, and no wonder why religion will be in the middle of all of it. Do you see what I'm saying? Of literally everything. Yeah, that's right. Religion will be literally in the middle of everything, because most human beings, it's one big moral dilemma for most human beings.
Day to day.
Yeah, day to day. People are not thinking about deeply into politics or deeply, even when it comes to politics, it's about right and wrong. You know, oh, that person did that. Why did they do that? That was wrong. That was everything that we see around us. When we watch the news, when you read the newspapers, we're making judgments, consistently making judgments about what is right and what is wrong. Human beings are not here thinking, okay, what about a quadratic equation? How do I solve a quadratic equation? Human beings are not thinking about that. They're thinking about what their uncles or what their family members did, whether it was right or wrong or not. You know, what should they do next? Well, what is the right way? What is the wrong way? That's consistency, and religion is at the heart of that. And that's why religion was, you know, was put in the middle of it, in my opinion. But all I saw is a bunch of people choosing themselves over religion, putting themselves above God, above their religions that they claim to believe in. So I thought that was quite hypocritical of them to do that. Yeah, that's my point of view on this one, man. Seriously.
That's me as well. I'm with that. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Opportunity.
But it's interesting. I want to see where this is going to end. I think this is going to be around for a while. Personally, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. Everyone's waiting to hear what Candace Owens has to say, where she's going to go, what she's going to do next. Everyone is interested. I'm sure she's not going to let go of this, and the back and forth is going to continue. So this is definitely going to be an interesting story to keep following. And Nick Fuentes is going to milk this, you know, for all it's worth. I don't know, and I can see Sneeko, the likes of Sneeko, Sneekos and Andrew Tates and the Muslims that follow that type of way of thinking. I can see them taking advantage of this situation in order to push their own goals out there. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's
That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling you. But yeah, that's it, my brother.
Video? You got another video or anything?
Bro, we have another video, but you don't want me to play it for some reason. I'm dying to play it. Should I play it? Should I just play it? Yeah? Oh, bro, stop being so bad, so like anti Nick, bro.
I'm anti Nick to the die, bro. Unless he converts to Islam.
Yeah. Right now, he needs to convert back to Christianity, man. At this point,
do you want to play it?
Yeah. I'm gonna play it now.
I don't want to see it. I guess it's your podcast.
Oh, no, I hope I don't get cancelled for this. Fair use. I hope I don't get. So, but
you're risking it, yeah.
Candace Owens was fired, and she militantly said Christ is king in a way that was defiant, because her boss at Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, is a Jew, and that's who she's sparring with. She's sparring with Shapiro and these Jewish rabbis. So she defiantly says Christ is king, and the Jews don't like that. And Andrew Klavan, who is at Daily Wire and a colleague of hers, he is a born Jew who converted to Christianity. And he goes on his show this week and says that when Candace Owens says Christ is king, it is satanic. And it's satanic because the Jews built everything, and we would be nowhere without the Jews. And to say Christ is king in a vitriolic way towards Jews is satanic. He says that Shapiro is a Jew, and saying Christ is king in a defiant way towards him is anti-Semitic. He says that if Shapiro were to embrace Christianity, it would be devastating to Shapiro's life. Maybe God doesn't want Shapiro to be a Christian right now. He says that to get into heaven, you don't need to guess the name of God. He says that you can do God's will and be a servant of God without being a Christian. He said, in effect, he's saying that Ben Shapiro doesn't need to go through the Son to get to the Father. Shapiro doesn't need to say Jesus is king. He doesn't need to say Jesus is God in order to be saved and to get salvation. He doesn't even need to say Jesus is God to be a good person. And this is a story from Mediaite. It says the Daily Wire's Andrew Klavan spoke out about Candace Owens' departure from the outlet on Friday, calling her out for her wicked use of biblical scripture to promote anti-Semitism. Klavan, a secular Jew who converted to Christianity, identified Owens' defense of the Nazi book burnings as the first warning sign in Owens' descent into overt bigotry. He said, when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad, I was shocked. This was something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning or the Nazis were burning weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books, began Klavan. Burning a book is the act of a savage, first of all, he added, before insisting that Owens' comments on the matter were a dog whistle. When you retweet a post saying a Jew is drunk on Christian blood, which goes back to blood libel, you know that's a dog whistle. When you start to refer in this kind of clever way to a certain group of people in Hollywood corrupting blacks and killing Michael Jackson, you're not allowed to then put on an innocent look and say, well, I'm just saying there's certain people, just like a few, you know, and I'm just saying you're messing with us. You're messing with us, and everyone knows it. And no one is fooled except those people who want to pretend to be fooled because they hate the Jews. And he reserved his harshest condemnation, however, for Owens' citation of the Bible in defense of her statements. You cannot serve both God and money, declared Owens. Christ is king. She's repeated the phrase a number of times since, especially after being accused of peddling anti-Semitism. Klavan argued, quote, the biggest truth that Candace told in that way that I find again, and this is not personal animus, but I find it difficult to excuse this when anybody does it, the truth that hid wickedness that I thought was the most wicked truth to use was the truth that Christ is king. It is almost exactly 20 years ago since I acknowledged the kingship of Christ in my life and over the universe. It's like 2 weeks and it will be 20 years since my baptism. It was hard for me to do. I'm a proud man and I want to race. It's a great race. It's done many great things. He is wicked. I want to make this a religious war, but that's precisely what it is. He wants to have it both ways, where he's a Jew that converts to Christianity. And as Christians, we are now supposed to say, you're one of us now. Anyone that doesn't say that is an anti-Semitic bigot, this Christ the King anti-Semitic crowd, he says. So he says, well, I became a Christian and you still have animosity towards me, but I'm your brother in Christ. So what's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. He still believes that the Jews are the chosen race and that it's really sort of optional to accept Jesus. That for the Jews who have a separate deal with God, well, they can accept Jesus or not. They can accept Jesus like Klavan did, or they can refuse to, like Shapiro did. And Klavan says that getting into heaven is not a guessing game. It's not a game of the Masked Singer where you got to say Jesus is king to get into heaven. You can get into heaven without saying that.
Anyways, that's enough. I hope I don't get punished for this. You still there? Hassan? Hello. You still there? Hello?
I'm here.
All right. What'd you make of it? What'd you make of it, bro? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, man. It takes a bit of thought, a bit of reflecting. Oop.
But he then goes and does the same thing.
What does he do?
He violates.
Oh, Nick.
Yeah, he violates Christianity.
Yeah, because
he violates Christianity because he uses that. Even though I don't disagree with his analysis when it comes to Klavan, I don't agree with his analysis. He goes and uses that.
You do agree with his analysis of Klavan?
Yes,
you do
because everything that he said.
You said I don't. You said I don't.
Oh, I said yeah. I do agree with Nick Fenton's analysis of Klavan because everything that he said was anti-Christian. Everything that was coming out of Klavan's mouth is anti-Christian, completely anti-Christian. It goes against Christianity.
How does he take it for his own advantage? By the way, Nick.
Yeah, basically he uses the, after he
Right.
breaks down the arguments after he breaks down what Clavin was saying, and he exposes it for being fake. What he does is he exposes them as not really being a real Christian. That's what he was doing. It was basically exposing, saying you're not a real Christian because to you getting to heaven is optional. You've got a side deal with God. You don't think
I like his view. I kind of like his view to a certain degree, because he said you don't have to name God by a particular name. So that kind of means, from his perspective, the Muslims are fine and the Jews and every other religion, I guess.
Yeah. What Clavin said was so anti-Christian is unbelievable, and yet on the same breath he's claiming to be a Christian. So it's like, okay, you know what? Let me make it look like as if I'm a Christian to these Christians, but really and truly my agenda is something else. That's what I was getting from Clavin. But then what Fuentes does, what Nick does, is he uses that to get people to create anti-Semitic, to create an anti-Semitic movement.
When did he do that?
So,
I mean, overall,
I'll do that because he's basically saying, look, we can't say Christ is king, so I'm going to get everyone that agrees with me to start saying, and aggravate the Jews. So that the Jews now, when they react, look, we can't see, they don't even want us to say Christ is king. That's his whole. It's like, bro, you just went against Christianity as well, Nick.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything better than Andrew Clavin. You, according to Christianity, you just went against Christ as well. You're just as bad as Andrew Clavin.
Yeah.
Regardless, yes, good analysis. Yes, you analyzed it properly. You exposed them for not being a real Christian. Fantastic, great. All of that is amazing. But then look at what you go and do. You take that and you basically create a movement against the rest of the Jews. Yeah, you should have kept it. Okay, that's just Andrew Clavin. I've exposed him, and that's it. Not use Christ as king as a movement against, in order to incite hatred against a specific number, a specific type of people. That's crazy to me.
That's not Christianity,
Yeah. Well, it's not crazy to me because people
it's
always.
Not Christianity, sorry. It's not Christianity.
Yeah. It's not crazy to me because people always choose themselves over God, their beliefs over God. So it's not necessarily that crazy to me. We always choose what we want rather than what is right.
I'm glad to hear it coming from you. Not you in particular, as if you didn't know, you didn't recognize it. But I'm glad to hear that coming from a Christian defending the truth of how people will misuse their message to promote social distress, animosity between each other, and others will use it in a way to protect their interests. I'm not saying my heart is warmed by the Christian resurgence. That's not what I'm saying.
It should
I'm
be.
just saying. I don't get enough. I don't get paid enough. Pay me some money, I'll say. I do this stuff for free, if you remember. What makes me happy is to hear that is because it's like we can see the real problem. And I'm not saying Christians and Muslims will come together, unite against, but just lying online and being deceptive in social benefits nobody. All it does is continue to cause disharmony and animosity, and the world just gets worse when people choose their own agenda rather than choose their own agenda and hide what their true agenda is. Because if somebody came out and said, "Hey, by the way, I've got a lot of Christian followers, and a lot of them would like to hear me say something about Jesus. Hey, Jesus is king. Yeah, you happy now? Yeah, all right, cool. You still paying me attention? Cool. Glad to hear it." And then other people could say, "Hey, I don't like the fact that you've criticized my employer, and I have to be here just to promote my thing. So by the way, you're anti-Semitic. And then somebody else, oh, you don't like me? You're gonna get rid of me? Well, I'm gonna say something that's just I'm gonna blow a dog whistle, and as I leave the building, good luck dealing with these vipers that are gonna come after them." Horrible, but at least we know where you stand. At least we know who you are. At least we know what your
Yeah.
message is.
Yeah.
And we're not going to confuse you with regular people. And you
Yeah.
live by what you say. And your yes means yes, and then your no means no.
Exactly. But that's not how people move. That's not how people. And I think we've done a good job of exposing all of them, all of their real agendas. You know, while
Critically.
screaming Christ is King, we've managed to expose their real agendas, and their agenda is far from the terminology Christ is King. It's far from that, from Christianity, far from Christ is King. They have other agendas, from Candace to Nick Fuentes to all of them, to Andrew, Sneeko, all of that. You know, Claven, all of them. So they all have different agendas.
I think it's been a good life. I'm glad we both saw eye to eye on this. We see it clearly.
Yeah. Of course, I won the debate as usual. You know.
Yeah. So when you're debating with yourself, you always win, bro. I know. I always root for you.
All right, bro. Okay, we're gonna end it here. Everyone that tuned in, shout outs to you. I hope you enjoyed the live. I hope you got something good out of it. But yeah, we'll see you on the next live. Everyone, take care. Peace and good night.
Take care. Take it easy.